All right now.
Patrick Mahomes is basically God playing quarterback.
Chiefs Kingdom
live.
They want it. They wanted it.
Yeah, when it's grim, be the Grim Reaper. Go get it.
That's a different tier right there, baby.
Yeah, we're not having a snowball fight.
Three. No one's ever got three. I want back-to-back to back.
The Lombardi Trophy is a red and gold reflection. Touchdown! Kansas City! One of the greatest duos in the history of the National Football League. Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce. Let's go! Do it live! You gotta fight for your right to fight!
It'll get handled when it gets handled.
Howdy, Chiefs Kingdom. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's Chiefs Kingdom Live. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, real quick, if you wouldn't mind, before you forget, make sure you click and tap that like and click and tap that subscribe. Maybe tell some friends, tell some family members, tell some Chiefs fans, tell the person doing your yard service. Help spread the word. We'd sure appreciate it. We got a good show lined up for everybody tonight. We just keep winning and things just keep getting better in Chiefs Kingdom. Going to talk about the win where the Chiefs beat the Los Angeles Chargers to win the AFC West again. We got playoff picture where the Chiefs are taking on old Jameis Winston, the wild card, if there ever was a wild card at quarterback in the NFL. And the Browns trying to lock down that 1 seed. We got other playoff news. Looks like the chat is filling up early. We got Laney and Maria and Big Doug and Dylan. I'm sure we'll be seeing Brenda and Kevin. Big Chris said he might swing by this week. I talked to him the other day, so I think I saw our one-man show in the chat. Brian, yeah. Big Brian, good to see you, bro. Thanks for the gift, by the way. Before we get into it, hope everybody in the chat's doing good. Nick, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. My brother was unable to sell his tickets and was kind enough to watch my kids, so I could go watch the Chiefs kick the Chargers' ass by 2 points and clinch the 9th straight AFC West title for them. So with my wife, it was a great evening at the stadium. The night games with the new lighting system, they've got like the deal where like you connect your phone and it's got everybody's phone things blinking kind of in unison and stuff, dude. It's a hell of an experience. I recommend everybody go.
We went to the Black Friday game after we went to the Monday night game, and like the player intro, it's still hype level is 1,000 or whatever, right? I mean, it still gets you going, but after seeing the night the pregame stuff at the lights and the darkness, it was like kind of took some shine off the day game pregame intro and tunnel run out and whatnot. So, but yeah, I'm doing good, man. Chiefs are winning. They win another division title. The Bills, everybody's favorite in AFC again. We've been like seesawing back and forth from the Ravens to the Bills to the Ravens to the Bills all year. Seems like the Bills lose to, as a good friend of mine, Nick Cork would put it, the shitty ass Rams. Life is good right now, man. Life is real good. Let's just get into this. Chiefs win. The doink heard around the world. The doink for the division. I don't know what official title that game has gotten yet, but Chiefs win another nail-biter in epic fashion over the Los Angeles Chargers at Arrowhead Stadium, 19-17 to wrap up a 9th straight AFC West Division title. Before we kind of break down some key players and moments of the game, Nick, like you mentioned, you were at the game in the CKL seats. What were your overall thoughts, feelings watching that game?
one of my first thoughts was, God damn, they cannot get a weather app that can let you know, like, if it's going to rain a few hours in advance. I mean, I don't know what it is, but turns out, hey, you need to be prepared for a rain game. I mean, it wasn't misting, but yeah, look, it was a good vibe in the stadium. They inducted Tamba Hawley into the Ring of Honor at halftime. Much beloved by Chiefs Kingdom, one of my favorite players, right? And yeah, it was just, I mean, those primetime games, especially late in the season, it's like the Chargers for the division. They had the Bills game on before the game started, so um, everybody was aware, right? Everybody's watching, hate watching the Bills game, hoping that they would lose. So we're all pumped, man. Just looking for the Chiefs to execute and come away with the W, so that we could clinch at least one home game in the postseason. So
Sweet, yeah. I felt a lot of the Chiefs games. Chiefs were playing pretty well. The offense kind of had a little bit of struggles there in the first half, but hey, they were playing the number one scoring defense in the NFL. So the Chiefs defense was playing good. They were up, had 2-score lead going into halftime. And then the Chargers make a game of it, and the second half was a little bit more nerve-wracking than the first. But at this point, and I'd say even this season, just because Patrick Mahomes has been so good in his career, coming back and comebacks in the fourth quarter and winning games where they were down by 10 points, or more at some point in the game, I just expect this team to win still. I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to say it's like a false confidence, because you turn out to be right way more often than you're wrong. But yeah, it's just that nervous, like, how are they going to do it? And there's a little bit in the back of your mind where you're maybe like, well, maybe this will be the game where they don't do it. But there's very little of that, especially after this season at this point. I mean, they had the block off. They've had the doink for the division. They had the fumble-rooski by the Raiders there, man. I mean, the coin toss in overtime against the Buccaneers. I'm sure I'm missing something, right? The last-second field goal against the Bengals.
Likely's toe.
Likely's toe, week 1, man. At this point, I'm almost starting to feel like maybe some of these people that are saying it's scripted might be on something. I don't know. How could you just get that?
It's a hell of a script, man. Keep
wins.
those scripts coming.
Right, just keep them coming. Yeah, but in all seriousness, I felt good watching the game. Was trying to keep it down a little bit. Little ones were in bed there before halftime, so but that's kind of hard to do. Just felt good watching the game, and especially with the Chargers, they go down there and they kick the field goal, and Mahomes is getting the ball. You just know how that feels, right? You get the Baker Mayfield, like it's the other team. Just can't be a good feeling for them when that happens. So there's Big Doug. I see Kevin's checking in there. I saw Janet. Looks like Janet's showing up. Cole was at the game for the Doink. He was there too. Good to see you, Cole. Thanks for swinging by. Let's talk about the game more in detail here. Let's start. You want to start offense, or you want to start with the defense?
I think we should, start offense, right? That was, they were both story of the first half, but let's go O first.
Go offense. Patrick Mahomes has a good game. The protection issue is still there. Was going back and forth with some people on social media about, like, look, if you follow us on our X account or any of our social media accounts at Chiefs Kingdom Live, you get to see kind of our thoughts during the game and some interactions or whatnot. And there was people saying, like, Patrick is really bad right now, and Patrick's holding the ball too long. And when does he have time to hold the ball too long? Like the rush is on him in like 2 seconds. So he's barely finishing his drop back on a lot of these plays, and he's already got guys in the backfield he's having to dodge and maneuver around. So he played very well, I thought, given the circumstances and even the announcers, which I know you didn't get to see or hear, rather watching the game live. We're just talking about how much pressure he was under and the hits, and They say, a lot of these hits aren't necessarily hard hits, but it's like in a boxing match when you just keep getting those jabs over and over and over, it starts to wear you down. What did you see out of Patrick Mahomes, and just how amazing is that guy really, man?
Yeah, gutsy, right? That's the word that I would say. Two more kind of Patrick Mahomes marquee plays in the second half there, where one was to Worthy, right, on 3rd and 10, and then I think it was 3rd and 7 to Kelsey, knelt it down, really put the game on ice there. But both of them were him just kind of scrambling around and making magic, right? Had another big scramble for a first down. Took a forearm. He was still in bounds, but he was right there on the edge of the sideline. I think that based on what I read online, that should have been a 15-yard penalty for Mahomes, but didn't get a flag. I'm happy that I'm happy we didn't get a flag there. I don't want cheap flags, but yeah, I mean, I think it was just a gutsy performance, right? It was, he went up against the other Bosa brother, right, with a new left tackle. Went out with a hamstring issue there. So, we're back to our left tackles that we've been kind of suffering through this season. Still, we go in at half 13-0. Really kind of one of the best drives, I think, of the season right there at the end of the first half. Just really executed extremely well for a touchdown there to D-Hop. We put that up on the YouTube as a short. So if you haven't seen that from the stadium perspective there, that was pretty cool. You get to see the fireworks and everything. But yeah, I mean, I think all in all, just kind of what we've come to expect from this offense, right? Patrick, as far as Patrick holding the ball too long, I don't see a lot of guys getting open, like on a quick break. And I haven't really seen that happen since Rashee Rice was injured.
Right.
Rashee Rice was kind of that quick slant guy that could, get a step right off the line of scrimmage inside, get open for a quick pass. So I think Patrick, I don't think he's holding on to the ball when guys are open. I think, it's they're laboring a little bit, right? Kind of like you see some of these pitchers in MLB, they say they're laboring. I think they're having to labor through a little bit of this due to some of the injuries and the age of some of the players and stuff. But overall, I mean, I think it was, they did enough to win. And I think what you were trying to say earlier about the end of the game is like, it's the exception now when they don't figure it out. It's the exception when Patrick Mahomes doesn't make the plays, right? Like it felt odd at the end of the Buffalo game where, like they didn't at least score a touchdown or a field goal there.
Right.
So more often than not, at the end of the game and gets the ball in his hands and needs to score points, the Chiefs are going to get in position to score. They're prepared for that moment. They've been in that moment in, the biggest game of all, right? In the Super Bowl and overtime, where it's like you don't score at least a field goal, like your season's over and you lost the Super Bowl. So they don't blink in those situations. And so it was, just kind of felt like ho-hum, another, gutsy Chiefs win with a last second. I'm not going to call that a miracle play, but another weird one. The Chiefs are trying to find all the weird ways to win games this year. So,
yeah, you mentioned him not getting guys open real quick. They had that one drive there where they kind of got in hurry up mode, and he was getting the ball out real quick on that. On the touchdown drive where he ended up throwing the touchdown pass to D-Hop that you mentioned. But yeah, I mean, to me, like, holding the ball too long is when you're standing there and the protection's there and you got time, no one's open, and you end up getting sacked because you held the ball for 5 seconds instead of throwing it away or taking off, right? Like, that's not the case with this dude when he's getting sacked. We saw several plays where Justin Herbert was just standing back there, man, just kind of crow hopping around, patting the ball in both hands. I think maybe he took a sack on a play where you say he could have held the ball too long, but look, the opportunities for him to hold the ball too long, quote unquote, are few and far between, man. He's taken a beating. He's definitely been hit and pressured and sacked more this year than at any point in his career. I know Humphreys came in. would like to see more out of that guy, but it's his first game in there, and it takes some time to hear the offensive linemen say it takes time to gel, right? I think that's a term they usually use. So he suffers the injury. Wanya Morris comes in and had some productive at, some I almost said at bats, like they're playing baseball, but he had some productive snaps.
Yeah.
And I saw a video where someone was talking about Kelsey was pumping him up when he came running into the huddle. Was like, you can do this, man. You got this. We need you, man. Come on. Like, because, look, it's no secret the guy's lost his job, right? That's got to be an awkward feeling. You lose your job to somebody else, they get hurt. Now it's like, oh, hey, we need you now. Get back out there. You weren't good enough until 5 seconds ago, but now get out there and play. So look, man, that guy's come in and played injured. And I feel kind of like it's with when we talked about guys like Kadarius Toney and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's not personal. It's just those guys weren't playing to a high enough level, and weren't meeting what the team needed out of them. So the team moved on or benched him. The same with the rookie Kingsley. We'll see what he can do. Maybe some time, an off season, some work, get his confidence back up. But so props to that man for coming back in and getting benched and coming back in and playing and helping the team out. Maybe swallowing that pride a little bit. He's also playing to get his job back, right? You lose your job and you get an opportunity. You want to prove that you can do it. So Patrick, to me, he doesn't have the gaudy eye-popping stats like a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen has right now. But I feel like he's gotten to a point in his career where he knows when the plays need to be made, right? And whenever they need the play to be made, he makes it. And he's not playing necessarily with the line, the protection that some of these other guys were getting, or maybe some of the weapons. You lost Hollywood Brown. We were expecting it to be Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and Xavier Worthy starting to catch on a little bit here. But so look, the dude, what he's been able to do, his play. I just, people that are critical, and we saw this a couple years ago when guys were dropping passes and he was throwing a lot of interceptions and the touchdown numbers were down and the bombs, were kind of gone, especially when Tyreek Hill left there. But the guy, instead of making like the huge eye-popping deep plays and lighting up the scoreboard, he's just making the plays, and he knows what he's got around him. He knows when and what he needs to do when the game is kind of like on the line, right? It's in the balance. It's kind of hanging there. There's nobody better in the league at going out and making the play in those situations like there's Patrick Mahomes. So the guy played awesome. People critical of him. I'm just like, man, just log off, bro. The guy didn't forget how to play football. He's not like, oh man, he sucks now. The guy don't know what he's doing out there. It's just not the case. So other than Patrick Mahomes, on offense, anybody kind of stand out to you? D-Hop had another nice performance.
Kelsey had some big plays, right?
Right.
So, shout out to Killer Trav. He eclipsed 12,000 yards for a career. He's the fastest tight end to do that in NFL history by almost 40 games, I think. Tony Gonzalez did it in over 200 games, and Travis is in the 170s. So shout out to him, man. It's been a heck of a career there. I mean, not much run game really to speak of. But yeah, D-Hop had excellent, touchdown play, had a bit of a, he got popped and almost had a really nice grab right at the goal line. Worthy, another, had a big third down catch, bobbled a little bit, little.
He almost dropped it.
I'm glad I couldn't see that from the stands.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that was a big play. So, I think it was a good team ball game.
Yeah. Looks like we got Bobcat checking in. Good to see you. Yeah. Hey, no one's worried. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. Not sure how long you've been with us here watching, but we're all good, and even when it's looking dire, I still feel good, and I feel like Chiefs are going to win, and they're 12-1. They're tied for the best record in the NFL right now with the Detroit Lions, who haven't suffered near the setbacks or the injuries, right? Had those problems that the Chiefs had playing in a weaker NFC this year, especially with a couple teams like the 49ers being down, Cowboys being down from what they've been the last few years. So Yeah, it's all good. We're feeling good. We're happy here in Chiefs Kingdom. We're glad you're here with us. Our man Kevin pointing out that Tony is no longer on the Browns. I think that's probably his last shot in the NFL, unfortunately, for Kadarius Toney. But hey, he'll have that record, longest punt return in Super Bowl history. So, he did have the muffed punt that was recovered by the guy. He got the penalty on for taunting by hitting him with the ball as the guy was walking away. He hit him in the back with the ball, and then a few plays later, muffs a punt, and that guy ends up recovering the muffed punt. What goes around comes around, and
what's worse, the taunting the fans and then getting burned for the Hail Mary touchdown, or the muffed punt for the deal?
I don't know.
Those Bears, right? The Bears player that.
Yeah, I think that cost him the game, so that might be a little bit worse. But close second is hitting a guy in the back with the ball as he's walking away, and then fumbling a punt that guy ends up recovering. Although I will say Tony lost his job after that, and I believe the guy in the Commanders is still playing, right? Or was he on the Bears? He was on the Bears and the Commanders.
Bears, yeah.
Yep, getting teams mixed up there. So, I hope Kadarius saved that money and
stay gold, Pony Boy.
Yeah, we wish him well in whatever endeavors and whatever life takes him, because I'm pretty sure his NFL playing days are most likely over at this point. Don't take any joy or relish in that fact, but the guy, to me, honestly, I just never really thought he was an NFL player. There was some excitement when the Chiefs made the trade, and he had a couple of nice plays coming in for the team. But outside of one really good game with the Giants, it was turmoil and lack of production and disappointment for him in New York as well. So. John C., good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Tony being Tony. Let's talk about Xavier Worthy. Another game where he's got 4 or 5 catches. I think he had close to 50 yards. Nick, you mentioned the big third down catch. Are we starting to see? I think I've seen he's had averaging just right above 50 yards a game here in his last 4 or 5 games. Are we seeing him start to come alive a little bit in the second half of the season, similar to what we saw out of Rashee Rice in his rookie campaign last year?
Yeah, definitely. Right. You see these receivers get kind of worked more into Andy Reid's offense as the year goes on, and really the guy's been open. So if him and Pat were a little more on the same page, he might be looking at pushing Rashee Rice's record there, but. Yeah, look, I like what I'm seeing out of him. I think he's a good outlet for Mahomes, and Mahomes is starting to look for him. That third down play, you see him kind of almost like a Kelsey type move where he finds the open spot in the defense, like during the kind of the scramble drill there, and just sits in there and converts. Right, Chiefs are going for it on fourth down there if they don't convert. But if you can avoid fourth down, that's always better. Yeah. So, yeah, kudos to him, man. I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Excited to see what years 2, 3, and 4, and beyond for him can look like as he bulks up a little bit and gets a little bit more chops, right, as a wide receiver.
Yeah, practice to work on getting them feet in bounds and a little awareness of where he's at on the field. But yeah, he's starting to find a nice spot for himself in the offense. McCall Hardman looks like he's missing some time now. Another injury at wide receiver. So the Chiefs need him right now. And Juju's pitching in and making a nice play here and there. And D-Hop has kind of come in and become the wide receiver one on this team, the veteran, the all-pro guy with the magic hands. Aside from, I don't really consider that a drop at the goal line. He had it in his hands going to the ground. You consider that a drop, or was that just
that's good. Look, that's good defense. That's separating the ball from the receiver through good defense. Which
is only a penalty when it's done by the Chiefs. Everybody else in the NFL, we keep hearing about online that and social media that Chiefs play by a different set of rules. We can't hit a receiver and dislodge the ball from him without getting a penalty, but everybody else sure can.
Yeah, that's Justin Reed and Nick Bolton now that have got that called against them. Another odd one,
another
another
game
odd
I
one
saw
that I hadn't
too.
heard in years was the uncatchable ball. I don't think I've heard an uncatchable ball call from a referee since like maybe the 2015 season.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But yeah, look, it's not a drop. It's a good defensive play. I don't want them to throw a flag on that play, right? I think that's part of the game. They've got to be able to play defense. The defenders have to be able to play defense, right? And so D-Hop, I'm not calling that a drop, man. Like you got smoked while you're in the air. It would have been a great catch, but if you say, hey, look, if he had held onto the ball, that would have been like a great catch. I'm not putting it on him.
Play. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, I'm sure he's probably disappointed. I would wager that he expects himself to catch that ball.
Sure,
but yeah, I'm not going to call that a drop either. Yeah, the old albatross of the ball was uncatchable. Well, he got held and then he got interfered with twice on one play. So yeah, it's probably a lot of passes are going to be uncatchable when you hold the guy and then hold him again while the ball is in the air. I'm going to venture to say that most times where that happens, where the receiver's held on his route twice, the ball is going to be uncatchable. We also saw the old classic Chiefs penalty, the holding on the defensive lineman on the running play by the opposition, right, offense, where they run the ball and then somehow our defensive lineman gets called for a holding penalty. Hadn't seen that one in quite a while. That resurfaced and made an appearance. So all good. Chiefs, in spite of the referees, keep finding ways to overcome and win. Let's talk about the defense. They come out as tale of two halves, right, with the defense. Played pretty well. They gave up yards, but stiffened right, at the last minute, right? Like a couple of those drives, if they give up 4 or 5 or 6 more yards, they're in field goal range. They forced them to some punts, which was really part of the offensive struggles in the first half, was field position. And they were constantly starting inside, it felt like, their own 10-yard line on every drive or every other drive in the first half. They were definitely in the negative on the starting field position there. They were on the wrong side of that coin. But pitch shutout the first half, played pretty well. Chargers missing J.K. Dobbins, missing Ladd McConkey, their top running back and their top wide receiver this year. And then the second half starts, and they give up back-to-back touchdown drives to lose the lead. What are you seeing out of the defense here? This has kind of been they gave up 17 points, so it's hard to really complain too much about their performance, but they do not look as dominant as they did in the first half of the season, do they?
No, look, they're slipping a little bit. There was a pretty major blown coverage in the secondary, wide open, should have been a touchdown. Herbert overthrew the receiver there in the first half where, but look, otherwise it is one of those deals where, you feel like the defense was fairly porous. You look up and they've only given up 17 points for the entire game. So I think really it's just those, back-to-back touchdown drives to open up the second half. You feel really good about the stop there and going in up 13. The offense punts one time and now you're losing, right? And I think that's where, I think that also impacts us as Chiefs fans, because that's like bringing back the seasons of like no lead is safe. And so I think that I maybe overreact a little bit more than I should in those situations, because they did make the stop there, force a field goal so that we're not having to look at a touchdown there to go win the game. But I was happy that the Chiefs were able to run out the clock, right, and not give the ball back there, right? I mean, that I didn't have a good feeling about kicking the ball, back to them with any amount of time left. But look, they got to Herbert. I think they sacked Herbert 3 times. He was pressured all night. But Herbert is a good quarterback. It's a good team. Harbaugh is a good coach, and I think what I noticed was at the half, it's like they kind of regrouped and they went back to playing their version of ball on offense, and
they were able to run, which
yes,
helped.
yeah, they were able to run. They were methodically going down. It was a long, sustained drive. So I think that was a little bit of, look, people are going to score on us. I was a little disappointed that after pitching a shutout in the first half that, we walked in with only 13 points on offense.
Yeah.
I think that, if we were able to convert at least one more of those, and you're going in, with a 3-score lead there, it takes a little bit of the pressure off, and because a 2-score lead, like it's just you're one punt away, right, from really making it a football game again. So
yeah, was the D-Hop the play where he didn't get the holding or the pass interference call? Was that in the third quarter, or was that in the first half? I'm trying to remember
no,
back
that was in
game
the third
sequence
quarter.
when that was. Yeah, that was start the second quarter. Was that the drive where they went 3 and out in between the touchdown drives? Yeah, I think if they get that pass interference, or if he's uninterfered with and he makes that big play down the field, that changes the story a little bit. The Chiefs maybe don't surrender that lead like that. But, yeah, look, the Chargers were wounded on offense as well. That's kind of the other, frustrating part for me about the way they played in the game. They didn't give up a lot of points, but the Chargers didn't score any touchdowns the week before against the Falcons. They had a guy out there named Stone Smart that was just tearing up the Chiefs secondary. Never even heard of that guy before, right? You talk about going back to the old days, right, of Chiefs fandom. And the guy you never heard of before has the career day against the Chiefs. So I felt like they should have done better in the second half and had a better chance, or maybe could have or should have replicated that first half performance and maybe hold them to 7. I thought that team was ripe to be held to 7 or 10 points on offense the way that they came in with injuries. But 17 is still a good number, and the Chiefs are going to win a good portion of the games when the defense gives up 17 points or less, even with the offense struggling. You had the nice play by D-Hop there. If he catches that down at the goal line, talking about another touchdown. So he's 2 plays away from maybe flipping the way that game plays out and the way the offense performs and the number of points they put on the board. Big Doug's talking about too many field goals. Yeah, there was a Nick, you mentioned not wanting to kick the ball back to the Chargers there, right, at the end, to convert the 3rd and 7. There was a message thread between me and some folks, and they were saying, I don't want to trust the kicker, or I don't want to just go score the touchdown here. I was thinking, man, I still think I like our chances better kicking a last-second field goal with the backup kicker than kicking the ball away with the Chargers with time left. I know we made them burn all their timeouts, but you score the touchdown there. The Chargers, they had been moving the ball, and even that last drive before, they stalled there kind of close. I want to say a penalty maybe helped the Chiefs there, right? It was like a holding call or something. So I think playing for the field goal there was the right move. It was a short field goal. Matthew Wright, hats off.
Well, he'd made everything all night, right?
Right, made a 50-yarder.
Right.
I know he shanked it on the doink there. They hit the inside of the upright, but if you watch the replay, his plant foot kind of slips a little bit. So I don't know that I'm going to hold that against that guy too much, man.
He made the field goal.
Yeah, he made it.
He made it.
He made it.
He won the game. He scored 4. He made 4 field goals in the game, right?
Right. But the Chiefs defense, it was weird. You mentioned about Justin Herbert was getting pressured a lot. He also had a lot of plays where felt like he had all night standing back there. So it was like the Chiefs were getting to him right away, or they weren't getting to him at all. Chris Jones was making some nice plays there. Tershawn Wharton had a couple sacks. That guy is putting in a quietly nice season on the defensive line there. So, I mean, how do you feel about the defense moving forward? They've brought in Steven Nelson, the return of Nelson Island, old friend alert back on the team. There's been some talk that maybe Jalen Watson can come back for playoff time. Please, fingers crossed. If I don't get anything else for Christmas this year, I want to get Jalen Watson back for the playoffs. If I don't get another thing, I'll be fine on Christmas Day with nothing else under the tree other than Jalen Watson coming back to this team. How do you feel about the defense moving forward? I think you're going to see the offense pick it up. You're starting to see D-Hop and Patrick get that chemistry, moving the ball. It hasn't necessarily resulted in touchdowns and a lot of points, but
Right.
I'm not that worried about them, and I know Patrick is going to make the plays when needed to be. The defense, you nervous about the way they look kind of coming down the stretch and going into the playoffs here, or do you think they kind of rebound?
Look, when we really needed them to stiffen up against a playoff team, right? The Chargers are currently in the playoffs. The defense did enough. They pitched a shutout in the first half. I feel good about the defense. I know that the Chargers were wounded, but they didn't score any points in the first half, right? They scored less than 20 points. I think when you can take a playoff team and hold them to less than 20 points in the NFL, there's nothing really to hang your head about there, right? Now, there's some things that they could get better at. But I think the other side of this coin is the reason I'm not that worried about the defense is, there's been so much talk about the Chiefs they're like a player or two away from losing all these games. And it's like they're a player or two away from blowing these teams out too.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
They're literally like one or two plays off. Like they're just a hair off of converting a lot of these, 3-point drives into 7 points. And I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to, they're getting Hollywood Brown back. I think that they're getting these guys worked into the offense. Worthy is coming along. D-Hop, is getting open, right? We have Kelsey, who, he's kind of been a little bit quieter these past couple of weeks, but I think that all of that helps out the defense, right? So I'm solid with our team all around going in. Cole is asking, what do we think about, them signing Steven Nelson to the practice squad? Look,
come out of retirement, right?
yeah. Look, it's just more of a sign of where we feel we're at in that position than anything else. It's good always if you have to sign somebody, you can sign somebody who's familiar at least with the organization, but. I think it's a sign of where the Chiefs feel they're at that position. We know that they're struggling. But look, at this point in the season, there are no perfect teams, right?
No.
I mean, how do you think the Bills feel about their defense after getting smoked by the Rams? We're quibbling a little bit here about what the defense is doing. But there's other teams that are in a lot worse position, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think the signing of Steven Nelson is out of necessity a little bit you saw, who was it? Shamari Connor got injured, so they had to go back to Nazeeh Johnson, which is just another guy that got sent to the bench. No. It was number 2. How come I can think of the game? Josh Williams.
Yeah, Josh
left the game
Williams,
with concussion. That's what it was. Josh Williams, number 2. Left the game with concussion. Don't know how long that's going to take to get him back. So they were already thin at that position with injuries. So I think that's an emergency. Like, we just got to have enough guys to suit up potentially to play. I don't know that you're going to see a lot of Steven Nelson out there. He was a guy that he had his fair share of decent plays, right? When he was a starter. No one is going to mistake him for a Trent McDuffie or a L'Jarius Sneed or a Darrelle Revis in his prime or anything like that.
Yeah.
But as an experienced guy, as a veteran, he can come in and maybe can get you by and get a few plays for you if you're super thin and don't have enough guys to go. I mean, you got to play somebody at corner, right? You just can't have one guy. You don't have Joshua Williams. You don't have other guys available. You get Nazeeh Johnson as a backup or something like that. He gets hurt. Now you're down to nobody playing corner. So you got to have somebody. I think that really has more to do with that than the Chiefs are worried or expecting him to come in and play any kind of significant role on the defense. Is there a guy that can play left tackle and wide receiver? I don't know.
And maybe cornerback as well.
Maybe cornerback as well. I don't know if that guy exists.
I think that the
Travis Hunter,
trade deadline is
unfortunately.
passed. So we can't get Taysom Hill.
Travis Hunter is not going to be available until the draft next year. The guy that Colorado that plays defense, right? He goes both ways. He's a corner and plays and plays wide receiver. Unfortunately, he won't be eligible to come into the league until the draft next year. So, Kevin, it's one of the great mysteries of our time is how Trent McDuffie still doesn't have a career interception. A lot of it is they don't throw the ball his way very often. He doesn't have a lot of opportunities to get an interception because they don't throw the ball towards him very often. But, I'm a little bit maybe more nervous about the defense than you. But, again, the offense can kind of get things going. We get Hollywood Brown back for the playoffs. I don't know that they'll necessarily need to be holding teams to 13 or 14 or 17 points a game. I feel like this offense is going to start clicking. We saw last year coming down the stretch. They lost to the Raiders on Christmas Day. There was a lot of worry about the Chiefs, and they flipped that switch when it came playoff time. And so it's definitely something that it wouldn't be like necessarily a surprise if they just flip a switch and all of a sudden find another gear in the postseason once that starts. So I think finally last we got to talk about the special teams. Matt Ariza had an outstanding game.
Oh, man, that punt.
Matt Wright.
8 yards at the 2-yard line.
Right, checked up. The third string kickers coming in 4 for 4 with the game winner. So Chiefs are living the charm life there on special teams. Props to those guys. Harrison Butker is due to return here at some point. So that
they've designated him for return. Yeah, I saw that today. And how about our new kickoff guy, number 20, Justin Reed?
Justin Reed. Yeah, he had that one. He boomed out of the back of the end zone, and he had a couple that were short. So I think Mr. Wright is more on the accuracy side than like the length side as far as the kicks go. But yeah, Justin Reed stepping up.
I thought the way that Reed, when he kicked him, though, he had a lot of great, balls that were such on the borderline that it almost made the receiver hesitate. And I think that's good. And I was thinking about,
you got the ball at the 20 a couple times, right?
Year. You've got an extra tackler on the field, right?
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah. So we get Harrison Butker back. That's going to help the offense out a lot. I feel like there's sometimes the Chiefs punted, right? Or maybe you're thinking about going for it when Harrison Butker, you just sitting him out there to kick a 58 or 59-yarder. Playoff picture is shaping up, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. That bye week for some of these guys off of injury and getting some rest going into the playoffs is going to be huge for this team. We'll talk about that here coming up here pretty quick. But the quest for the three-peat continues with the AFC West division title and at least one home game at Arrowhead wrapped up. Chiefs travel to the Mistake by the Lake. I wish our man Nico was here in the chat tonight. Kind of surprised I haven't seen him. Should have tried to get him on. I thought about that, but I didn't think about it until today. It might have been a little bit late to try to get him on here. But the Browns are an interesting team. They've played fairly well at home. Jameis Winston, we mentioned at the top of the show, that dude's like the wild card, right? Like Charlie, and It's Always Sunny. Wild card bitches. Like that dude. He might throw for 480 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns, but he's going to have 2 fumbles and a couple pick sixes too in there. How do you feel about this game on the road against the Browns? This is a big game, man, when you're talking about the 1 seed and maybe even getting some extra rest in that last week of the regular season. Chiefs, the math is going to be looking really, really good for them to get the 1 seed. If they can wrap up these next 2 games at a losing team and the Browns and then home for an underperforming Texans team, you feel pretty confident? You a little worried about the Browns coming up this week?
Yeah, look, one of the things that's been holding the Browns back since they have got Jameis Winston on their team is the turnovers, and that's really kind of been a weak point for our defense this season is turnovers. So,
Right. No doubt.
yeah, I am concerned. I felt a lot less confident in this game as soon as Deshaun Watson went out. I thought, oh man, that's going to be like another, it's not better than a bye, but it's almost like a bye with him at quarterback. But look, Jameis Winston's he's a good player, but like you said, he even in the press conference a couple weeks ago said, I'm praying that God delivers me from pick sixes, and
he does.
Sorry, Jameis, but I'm praying that he waits at least another week before he delivers you from pick sixes. So,
Right.
The Browns have a really good defensive unit, right? I see a lot of people worried about Myles Garrett, but this team has gone through a lot of the premier pass edge rushers, right, in the league this season, and come out with wins against both of the Bosas, right?
I saw somewhere like after the Chiefs game against the Chargers last week, talking about Patrick taking a beating and the number of sacks and pressures and the way the line was playing. But the Chargers have the most sacks in the NFL since week 5 or 6, something like that. So there's definitely no slouch there.
Yeah, so the Chiefs have gone up against a lot of the premier pass rushers in the league. We still, they still can find ways to win games, but it is something to watch, right? Like, even if we win, I am concerned about the beating that Patrick is taking this year. He's already been sacked more this season than any season any season in his career. We still have several games left, but look, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think they're going to be a pushover, man. That's I think the Chiefs are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it looked the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, Kevin's talking about the Browns kicker missing kicks every game, which makes it all the more impressive that the Chiefs are on their third string kicker, roughly, I guess you want to call him. He wasn't on the team really. You don't really have a third string kicker, but they're on their third kicker of the season, and the guy is perfect with game winners. So, this game to me, I don't know that you can call it a trap game at this point in the season. I don't know that you look ahead to the Houston game that much. That's not like you're playing a division rival or you're playing one of these teams that's got, one of the top records in the conference. The Jameis Winston thing to me, I don't necessarily worry about him eliminating the bad plays because he's made the bad plays his entire career. You just kind of know Jameis Winston.
30, right?
Right. Jameis Winston is who Jameis Winston is. And it's the negative plays hurt you more than the really positive plays help you in the NFL.
Right.
I think an interesting thing when you look at 500-yard passing games, a lot of them come in losses because you're behind, right? And you're playing catch up. So the eye-popping stats, I don't know how worried I am about them. Look, the Chiefs, I feel like should go in there, and it feels so stupid at this point to say they should go in and win fairly comfortably or win comfortably against the Browns because they really haven't won that comfortably against very many teams this year. It's on the road, and they play better. But I expect the Chiefs to win. I feel good. I feel that they're the better team. They've got more to play for. I know you get everybody's best shot, but I just don't know what the Browns can really kind of do to the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs defense can take advantage, and you mentioned being turnovers being a weakness for our defense this year. Maybe you can get right in that department, maybe get you a couple picks or a fumble or something like that. Get you some positive plays there, get you some extra drives. So what do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be the Chiefs offense needing to perform against a good Browns defense, or do you think this is more on the Chiefs defense in the game Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to need both sides of the ball to step up at different points of the game here. I think you're going to see the Chiefs, like I said, they're kind of laboring on offense. I think you're going to kind of see that continue. against the Browns defense. I thought that I thought the left tackle play was going to be significantly improved against the Chargers, and that was really going to be the difference, and it wasn't. And so I think that as long as we have that problem when we're going up against a good defense, it's going to continue to be a problem. So I think we're going to need, you're going to see the Chiefs offense struggle a little bit. Hopefully we can convert, a couple more touchdowns instead of kicking so many field goals. But due to that, it's going to be up to the defense to kind of, limit the damage that that Jameis Winston can do when he's on his A game, right?
Yeah. I think it'd be big for the Chiefs if they could run the ball in this game. I know the Chiefs are never going to be a running team, right? And Patrick Mahomes is always going to be like the guy. But I think you can neutralize a little bit of that pass rush and take away a little bit of the effectiveness of Myles Garrett and limit his ability and his chances to get to the quarterback by kind of like countering that with the run game. Kareem Hunt still looking pretty good in this. Looks like Isaiah Pacheco, he's made a few nice plays. I think he offers you a little bit more of like the big play ability, the long running, like get you a 30-yard run more so. You've seen Kareem Hunt kind of struggle to really like get to that second level and break away for like a big, long running play. But he's still been a productive running back. And so going to this game, maybe turn the tables on the Browns a little bit, run the ball, kind of slow that pass rush down. Patrick Mahomes, I don't know that this is going to be a game where all of a sudden he comes out, right, and has like a big blow-up performance where he has 400 yards and 4 touchdowns or anything like that.
Right.
Anybody you're singing? I mean, I was just talking about the running game. Anybody on offense you're looking for maybe think has a big game?
Yeah, look, I would like to see Kareem Hunt revenge game.
Yeah, that's a good angle.
So it's these guys, him and Travis are both from that area. They both grew up being Browns fans, and so I would like to see both of those guys in front of their hometown crowd there have big games. I think that Andy Reid knows these things, and I think he also plans for these things a little bit. So you only play there once every every probably 8 years, unless you're finishing in the same place in the division.
Unless they start winning the division, which
unless
I don't know if I see that happening.
Start winning the division. So I think that look for both of those players to have like a special game plan for them in the offense.
Yeah, maybe get that screen game going with Kareem Hunt. He's looked almost better like out of the backfield, right? And instead of trying to like ram him through the line and bust through and get to that second gear, he doesn't have that like restart, right, where he can just shift it right back into third or fourth gear immediately like he used to have once he'd get past the line or kind of break through an arm tackle and then get that speed and that power back up. He's kind of getting brought down right at early contact, which, hey, at this point in his career, the guy's got some miles on him. He's getting older, and I'm not holding that against him. So, I think Isaiah Pacheco's got a chance to have a decent game this week. We'd love to see Xavier Worthy keep it going. I don't know. You guys want to do some score predictions for this game? Like to see what everybody in the chat has to think. Make sure you throw your score predictions up in there. You want to go first? You want me to go?
Well, you can go ahead and go. Do you know what the line is here?
I do not. I haven't looked at it. If I had to guess off the top of my head, I would say the Chiefs are about an 8-point favorite on the road at Cleveland. They haven't covered a lot of numbers, so I don't think you're going to see like 10 or 11, but I think you're going to see that 7.5 or 8 point. Big Doug's 24-17.
So I'm seeing 4 points. The Chiefs are given 4.
4-point favorite. Wow, that's a little bit lower than I was expecting. I thought the Chiefs would be a little bit bigger favorite than that. Could be their.
I was gonna say, have you watched any of the games?
No, I know, but the Browns are not a good team, man. Like they've jumped up and nipped a few people, but this is a game the Chiefs should win. Are you talking about a 12-1 team against what's the Browns' record? They've won, 4 games this year? 4 or 5 games?
Let me see here.
Looks like Laney's on the board, 24-14, 10-point victory.
Yeah, the Browns are 3-10.
Yeah, see, I mean, you're 12-1, and you're playing a team with a record like that. You need to go out and make a statement.
Chiefs are going to win by a last-second field goal.
Last-second field goal.
No,
Nick's going bold here. Hot take.
Ooh, hot take. Yeah, we haven't seen that this year. No, look, I'm going to go 24-14.
Stealing Laney's pick. There you go.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it until just now.
It's all right. I just read it too, but it's all good, man. I mean, there's only so many combinations you can pick. I mean, no one's going to pick 22-14, right? Or
yeah. Now Laney and I, same wavelength. Let's go.
There's our man Chris checking in. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Kevin's going to be at the game. Yeah, I was really wanting to make this game, but with the new job starting here in the last week or so, taking time off and travel was a little bit hard to do. So would like to caught Kevin, man. Hooked up with him, bought him a beer or something. But
well, just represent the kingdom well, man, and bring home a winner.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs defense plays good. I don't think Jameis Winston goes too crazy against them. So I really like that 24-14 pick. I really like that 24-17 pick that Big Doug's got. So I'm going to go 27-17. How about that?
Oh, you're going to take Kevin's pick, huh?
There we go. I mean, we're all stealing picks right now, right? I mean,
you're like, well, you did it first.
Right, you did do it first. I mean, you set the precedent. So Chris Daly is going to be at the game the 21st against the Texans.
Oh, dang.
I don't think I'm going to make that game, Big Chris, at the family Christmas party at the house that day. So if you know anybody looking for tickets to the Chiefs versus Houston Texans game, you want to save some money over online resellers, hit me up. Go hit us up on social media, or maybe Nick will scroll the email thread there on the bottom. Yeah, next time I see the Chiefs will be in the playoffs at Arrowhead Stadium. At least one game. They're in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. They're 2 games clear of the Bills. Now the Bills have the tiebreaker, but they're 2 games up on the Bills. The Bills
8-4.
Chiefs win 8-4. That would be something. That'd be a scoregami, I'm pretty sure, wouldn't it? Gotta think that's never happened.
Pretty hard to score just 8 points.
It's even harder to score 4 points. It's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, right? 4 points is what, 2 safeties? So, not sure the likelihood of that pick, but big man, one man show. Big Bride's going wild here. Chris is saying I'm fired for not being at the game. Sorry, man. Brian's saying 3 safeties. I think that'd be 6, not 4, right? I'm not sure where he's getting 3 safeties from.
Yeah, on the scoregami board here, the only time it's ever had a team score for is there was a 10-4 game. Every other one is open. So
every other one's open. So yeah, hey, I'll take it. I'll sign up for it right now. But the Chiefs are in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. The Buffalo Bills, everybody's new best team in the AFC after the Ravens kind of fell off and lost some games here. And, I mean, they lost to the Browns, right? And they had another bad loss, too, I want to say here.
Yeah.
Recently, it was back to the Bills, and Josh Allen is the MVP. They lose to the 6-6 Los Angeles Rams. Their defense got shredded in that game, and the game really wasn't that close except for the referees kept just walking the Bills down the field over and over and over. We put out on the Chiefs Kingdom Live X account. Don't ever want to hear anybody from the Bills Mafia talking about the refs helping the Chiefs out. That that was almost like embarrassing. Almost like felt embarrassed for the Bills with some of the penalties and some of the calls that they were getting. The roughing the passers on Josh Allen were pathetic. They called an offensive pass interference play on Puka Nacua where the defender's holding his arm with both hands, and like he like yanks it free, and they called offensive pass interference. They gave him the ball at the goal line there at the end, which ended up being for nothing there on their last drive because the Rams ran the clock out. But gave him the ball at the goal line to get a final touchdown there to even make it.
Wow.
Questionable. I mean, it was, like I said, Josh Allen, he got a roughing the passer penalty that was just absolutely ridiculous. And he's gotten more roughing the passer calls than anybody else in the NFL since he started. So he's definitely the king of flopping, and he sells it, and he gets more calls and more helps from the referee than Patrick Mahomes does, contrary to popular belief. But look, man, if the Chiefs go out, they win this game against Cleveland. The Bills have a tough task. I believe they go on the road and play the Lions in Detroit this week. The Steelers got some tough matches coming up here in their next 2 or 3 games before they lock horns with the Chiefs on Christmas Day there in Pittsburgh. This is a big game for the AFC playoff field. Nick, how are you feeling about the Chiefs in the 1 seed at this point?
Yeah, look, we got to call it a 2-game cushion, but you can only lose 1 game, right? So you really have a 1-game cushion there with 4 to play. This is getting into that, much talked about 3 games in 10 or 11 days, depending on how you want to count the days. But the Chiefs are going to be playing 3 games in 10 days here. But so are the Steelers. And, the Steelers are one of the other teams in contention for the 1 seed. So I guess the silver lining there is that one of the other teams that's in contention has that same problem that they're facing. The Bills really, the game that everybody thought that they were going to lose was going to be maybe this one that they're playing against the Lions, the other 12-1 team in the NFL.
If you follow Chiefs Kingdom Live on X,
we may have called that.
Someone may have predicted the Rams after they beat the Chiefs in Buffalo, and they were gloating that, oh yeah, here we come, and this is our conference now. We put out there, check the date on the post. Just going to be that much more disappointing for Buffalo when they lose to the Rams in 3 weeks to miss out on the 1 seed. Look, that's what this team does every year. Like, I don't want to sit here and say I'm a clairvoyant or I can predict the future. That's just what they do every year. They look like the best team, or they go out there and then they lose a complete head scratcher down the stretch to a team they have no business losing a game to, that just ends up putting them on the road. Now, last year they ended up sneaking and getting the 2 seed. Still didn't matter because they lost to the Chiefs at home. They asked for it, and they got what they asked for, according to Patrick Mahomes. Be careful what you wish for. Was just so predictable. I saw that coming from a mile away. But, yeah, sorry to interrupt your train of thought there. Just had to brag a little bit on calling the shot there a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. It's there's like hashtag they knew, and all that stuff. And
right.
Yeah, look, I feel good. I mean, this is the position that you want to be in. You'd like to think at 12-1 that maybe you have a little bit more of a lead, right? But there's a lot of good teams in this conference, and I feel especially good knowing that out of the 13 games we've played 6 against teams that are currently in playoff spots in the AFC or in the league, and they're 5-1 in those games, right? So the only loss being to Buffalo, the only loss on the Chiefs schedule, which so I do feel like we're in a good spot. But it's time to, as Mitch Holthus would say, it's time to put the hammer down here and really close this out. If the Chiefs win and Buffalo loses, that's not game, set, match, but that puts you in a much more comfortable position where
you can go 2-2 in the last 4 games, right? Or you could go 1-2 in the last 3 because you're 12-1 right now. You would have played 14 games. There's 3 games left. I mean, you don't have to win like one of the last 3 games.
Exactly.
Really. So, yeah, this is a huge game against the Browns. Chiefs got to go take care of business. And I don't think this Browns team is like a 3-7 or 3-10 team that the Panthers were when we played them a few weeks ago. They just took the Eagles to the damn wire and probably should have won that game if the guy doesn't drop the ball right there at the end. It was Eagles that they just almost knocked off, right? Was that them? Am I getting that team right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's just
JT, man, his Panthers are looking feisty here in the second half.
The Panthers are contending against
good teams,
upper echelon teams, and that's really good to see. Really happy for Bryce Young and really happy for other quarterbacks too, because it's kind of gotten to where if you don't have like a successful rookie campaign and you're not really good right off the bat, there's a lot of quarterbacks that are kind of getting thrown in the trash, right?
Right.
And then you're looking back and you're saying, well, maybe Sam Darnold wasn't that bad. You know what I mean?
That's the Patrick Mahomes effect. He's kind of like set an unfair or unrealistic standard or bar, like coming in first-year starter and throw 50 touchdowns, have 5,000 yards, and be 1 game away, 1 penalty away from the Super Bowl, and then win 3 in the following 5 years and set a bunch of NFL records. That's not really all that realistic, right? I mean, it's the best start to a career in NFL history. So I feel like sometimes teams like look at Patrick Mahomes and like, well, he's not doing that. Well, yeah, but your plan is to go out and get the next guy that's going to have the best start to ever have, like best start in an NFL career ever. Some of these guys have got to get some more time and maybe get thrown into the fire a little too soon too, right? Like they just always throw Bryce Young out there.
Yeah, and it's happening with Caleb Williams right now. People are talking about his performance, and I know that he had a really bad game against the 49ers, but the guy came into the worst team record in the NFL, the number one. Right. I guess the Bears weren't the worst team. The Panthers were last year, but the Bears were still like a top 5 team, and they fired their coach halfway through. So that you're looking at a kid that's come in and, he's already on a shitty team, and then that team like doesn't even make it to the end of the year with the leadership that they have before they make a change, and we're wondering why maybe this guy's not performing all that well. And so I'm really happy to see Bryce Young putting it together. I love success stories, especially to see that he got benched this year and stuff. So I'm pumped for JT. It's looking like he might be the real deal after all. And it'll be good to see how maybe some of these other teams give guys a little bit more time to develop before they start looking for somebody else.
Mango's checking in. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for swinging by. Kind of got some updates on some players and when they're expected to play. And yeah, I saw DJ Humphries was at practice today. Maybe he can come back. I think it was like a strain or a pull and not a tear, thankfully, for the hamstring there. So don't know how quickly that guy can get back realistically, but we need him back. It's a game that I can't understate like how big this game against the Browns is. I think the Lions are going to beat the Bills. No guarantees, but if you had to put money on it, you would probably put money on the Lions beating the Bills, right, Nick? I mean, you think the Lions are the better team? You think they take care of business?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is that, the Lions do have a lot of players on IR, right? So
they've got suspect defense too at times.
Yeah, so I'm not. If you have to bet money, I would bet on the Lions, but I think it's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be interesting. So
yeah, and maybe it's even more important to beat the Browns if the Bills win. Because you want to try to keep that cushion and you want to keep that space, that 2 games ahead of them.
Hey, wishing good things for players and wishing good things for teams. It's two different things, Bri.
Yeah, Big Bri not taking the high road. The air's a little bit too thin for him up there on the high road, but hey, that's all right. It's all good. Yeah, the playoff picture is coming into shape here. The Chargers and the Broncos. Do you think both those teams make the playoffs, or do you think one of them gets in there?
Well, who would they fall out in favor of? I guess would be the question there, right?
Yeah, you'd have to look up and see. I think right now, I mean, you're looking at who's like 8th and 9th. I think the last teams I saw that were in the hunt were, I can't recall. I don't know if you can bring that up quickly or or easily or not, but they're right there. I mean, they're on the edge, right?
Right.
I mean, I want to say right now they're like the 5 and the 7 or the 6 and the 7.
Yeah, so you've got the Colts at 6 and 7.
Yeah, they're on the bubble.
You've got the Bengals at 5 and 8. And the Dolphins at 6 and 7. I mean,
I thought the Bengals were eliminated. No,
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean they've got 8 losses, and so these teams that are in, they've got 5, right? So I mean, it would be.
I think they have the tiebreakers over them or something. I'm pretty sure the Bengals got eliminated.
Oh, are they eliminated?
A couple weeks ago, I believe so. I'd have to look and see on the. I don't know. The chart should say they're like on the bubble or whatever in the hunt. I'm pretty sure they got eliminated, but
maybe somebody in the chat can let us know. But I'm feeling like it's going to be 3 AFC West teams, and then the Ravens. I mean, I'm feeling like those are, from what I've seen, those are the strongest teams. So we're gonna be seeing probably one of these AFC West teams again if we clinch the 1 seed, right?
Yeah, if they get the 6 and the 7, I mean, they could both get knocked off before. I mean, if the Chiefs get the 1 and they're the 6 and the 7, I mean, you got to like the chances of the 2 and the 3 seed knocking off the 6 and the 7. So, but if one of them were to win and go through, you'd see them again. I'm not scared of either of those teams. I think maybe if the Chargers get McConkey back and if they get J.K. Dobbins back, maybe I'd rather play the Broncos and a rookie quarterback than Justin Herbert. So Broncos can sneak in there at the 7.
Kevin is he's not wanting to see the Colts in the playoffs. Mahomes broke that curse, man. His first home playoff.
He reversed the curse and ended the career of one Andrew Luck, who everybody thought was going to be the next Joe Montana or whatever, the next best quarterback. Next John Elway, I think was the big comparison to Andrew Luck when he came out. And, may or may not have been at that game with One Man Show, Nick and I.
Yeah, and our cousin Zach, right?
Yep.
Snowed his ass off, man. That was a good game. Yeah,
it's hard to believe that was 5 or 6 years ago now.
Right. What? Little Chiefs numerology there, right? Like there's kind of 2 things that were the curse for the Chiefs. One was playing the Colts. 2 was the seasons where we won 13 games. It seemed like that was just like our unlucky number, and then we won that game 31-13, which is like an inverse of itself. So, yeah. So I look, yeah, we haven't beat them since. Yeah.
How many times have we played them? Once, twice. Not very often.
Chris Jones just can keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, that's right. That was one of the games. And there was another weird. That was like a night game. I want to say they lost to them where we scored like 13 points or something. Had 4 or 5 turnovers or something. Some crazy. Yeah, it snowed heavy the night before, and then like the morning of that game. But I believe the field and all the snow was melted by the end of the game.
Right. Yeah, it was really sloshy in the stadium there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, good times, man. Little did we know what we were getting ready. We were in store for going to that game and watching them win that playoff game. It was like the beginning of the dynasty, right? So pretty amazing. Chiefs can go a long ways towards getting that 1 seed. It's just with getting guys healthy and an older Travis Kelce, and you're talking about Patrick getting banged up, right? We've been talking about the hits he's been taking, and you got guys that are borderline coming back. Hollywood Brown's looking like he's going to be back just in time for the playoffs. But if you give, some guys some extra rest, maybe give Kareem Hunt a break because that guy has had a workload. An extra week off would be huge for this team.
Yeah.
That's a major advantage. They need to take care of business. They need to get that 1 seed. So anything else you want to talk about, Nick? I think you said there was something before we jumped on the show earlier you wanted to.
Yeah, we were talking about the Coach of the Year conversation, right?
That's right.
So I don't have it pulled up, but yeah, look,
and look, that post just before what kind of kickstarted this conversation between Nick and I before the show started was somebody put out there. It was like the 4 favorites, right? Now, this wasn't NFL.com or nothing. It was just some other show that we follow that doesn't have like a ton of clout, or it wasn't like Bleacher Report, right? Or something like that. So not disparaging those folks. Right. It's not like we're sitting here with 25,000 subscribers and getting millions of views ourselves. So I'm not trying to put them down, but I don't know where that list of 4 coaches came from, but go ahead.
Yeah, look, so I just here it is. I've got it. Give me just 1 second here. So, you were posting on the account that, it's like the Hank Hill, meme, and it's just unbelievable to me that you can have a coach that has won back-to-back Super Bowls, has everybody headhunting them, circling the game on the schedule, loses their number 1 and number 2 wide receiver going in, has a stretch where they are out their number 1 running back, their number 2 cornerback after they trade away their number 1 cornerback, right? So on top of that, your kicker goes out, right? Your third kicker, Hall of Fame kicker, but he's upper echelon all time, right? For field goal percentage. He's a weapon. You come out and then you go 12-1, and your schedule has 6 games against current playoff teams on it, and you go from that and you go 12-1 overall, and you're not in the conversation for Coach of the Year. I can't imagine that.
And your key players have played basically an extra season's worth of football the last 5 years or 6 years because of all the playoff games and the Super Bowls they played in. They've played like 17 postseason games in the last, how many years is that? 5 years? I saw 6 years.
Right.
It's an entire extra season of football for Patrick Mahomes and for Chris Jones and for Travis Kelce and a lot of these cornerstone key players that have been on the team. Yeah. Look, he's just a victim of his own success, right? Nick, you said it's what the award for best new artist, right?
Yeah, it's like the best new artist award, right? Like, hey, congratulations, your team didn't suck as bad as we thought it was going to. Award.
Right, Mike Tomlin's obviously not a newcomer or a new artist, but yeah, I mean, I don't know any of those guys. I mean, I know the Lions, they've suffered injuries too, but I mean, they haven't lost Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. They haven't lost Amon-Ra St. Brown. They haven't lost a lot of these like key producers, especially on the offensive side of the ball that the Chiefs have lost. So Kevin O'Connell, Sean Payton. I mean, the Broncos are playing better than I thought they would this year, but I mean, they're on the 7th seed and they're playing a last place schedule, right? Yeah, I mean, I'll take the job Andy Reid has done this season against any of those 4 guys there. But
yeah, I mean, I think the only guy
expects him to win the division every year.
Dan Campbell, right?
What's that?
Maybe the only other guy in contention here is Dan Campbell because they've suffered a lot of key injuries.
Yeah, I don't know how, but like I said, they haven't lost their top running back. They haven't lost their top wide receiver. I think Sam Laporta, their number 1 tight end, has missed a game or 2, but nothing like the Chiefs have had where they've lost guys for the whole season or essentially the whole season with Rashee Rice, right? So,
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Is there anybody that you would pick over Andy Reid for Coach of the Year this year?
No, I mean, I think the job Mike Tomlin, what he's been able to do with Russell Wilson after we saw how it went with Russell Wilson in Denver, but they've got a good defense, and they're playing a division that isn't quite as strong as everybody thought. I bet if you went back and watched our NFL preview show, we talked about the AFC North and just what a gauntlet that was going to be with the Ravens and the Bengals and the Browns maybe coming on after the way they played, making the playoffs there last year. That division's not looked as strong, but no, again, it's just everybody, when you expected to basically be the best team in your conference and win your division because you do it every year, you just don't get that like credit or that recognition for like what an amazing, outstanding job you've done. It's almost like you said like the best new artist, it's like the overachiever, right? Award maybe, or something they want to call it. I mean, no one's going to take Kevin O'Connell or Sean Payton or any of those guys over Andy Reid, are they?
Yeah, what I'll say is that if a coach, let's say that Andy Reid does finish with the 1 seed in the AFC, if a coach wins back-to-back Super Bowls and then clinches the 1 seed, because I know it's not, they don't do this based on, postseason
accomplishment. I mean, they don't think they factor in that he's won the Super Bowl the last.
But it factors into it factors into the pressure on them this season and coaching through complacency, right? Like it's hard to keep guys focused for that stretch of time. Hungry, you add on the injuries and stuff. Like if you go through and you win 3 consecutive Super Bowls as a head coach and like you don't win one of those years, like. Yeah, it's a fucking pointless award to me, I mean,
I think they vote on it. I think they do it before the postseason.
They do, yeah. But if you clinch the 1 seed after winning back to back, like there's only been one other team that's
all right. Calm down. I'm not arguing with you.
No, I just
getting all excited over here.
Just like it drives me nuts, man. Like they're not factoring on the graphic,
right? But they're just not factoring in that he's won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back previews this year. It is a good point, though, talking about coaching through complacency and keeping guys focused and hungry. And I think that was a little bit we talked about earlier, like the switch flipping when the postseason came around last year, and even maybe to some degree the year before, not as much, but maybe some still, as far as like just getting bored with the regular season. And I mean, how focused and up are you for a week's 9 game against the Panthers? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's a bad example because the Panthers have been playing some good ball and it looked good. So there's our man Bo.
What's up, dude?
So he's checking in, the Bundle Rooski. Bo's on the move yet again, so he wasn't able to be here tonight. But I'm glad you're checking in, man. Hope you're doing well. So I mean, I think the job he's done has been better than any other coach in the league this year, but he's not going to win that award. I think he's won it like once. That's the other thing, too. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he's maybe won that award once or twice his entire career. So, there's definitely some newcomer factor to it. There's definitely some exceeding expectation factor to it, I think, when people vote for that. But, Sean Payton hasn't done a better job coaching this year than Andy Reid. Plain and simple. I mean, Kevin O'Connell hasn't either. Drunk Bo's checking in. If you're in the chat and you want some free stuff, Drunk Bo looks like he's making an appearance. So you got that Christmas list out. Maybe throw it up in the chat there. Maybe you've seen something on Chiefs bids you want here recently. Make sure you throw that up in the chat Chiefs as well. Bo's heard from Broncos fans that Bo is the future. He's played well. I don't know. He's an older rookie, right? So I don't know how much of a ceiling, right, there is, or how much more room to grow there is there, maybe with some of these other rookie younger quarterbacks. But he's played good, and he's got his team in position to make the playoffs, which honestly is better than I anticipated them doing this year. So they've exceeded my expectations. still not scared of them, would still feel comfortable playing them in a playoff game with an AFC championship game on the line. They don't have the experience, right? They haven't played in those games like the Chiefs have. And you're going to tell me you're going to be a rookie quarterback up against Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead in the playoffs? Yeah, I'll take that. So, anything else anybody wants to talk about in the chat before we get out of here? I think we kind of covered all the bases. I think we hit it up pretty good.
No, nothing for me.
Big game coming up. Division championship in hand. Now Chiefs focusing their attention and onto their next goal, and that's getting that 1 seed and getting that home field advantage and that first round bye that is just – I still wish they'd go back to the old playoff format where they had the 6 teams and the top 2 got the bye. It was just like the perfect setup in pro sports for playoffs, but money wins out in extra games. So we get the 7 seed and the bye. But if you can get that 1 bye week, man, that's a huge, huge, huge advantage. Even more so with a banged-up team that's played a lot of extra football and has guys that could use a break to get healthy and get back and get rested up. So Lainey's throwing her Christmas list in there. My man Show's asking about extended warranties. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about.
Trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty.
Right, exactly. So, big game against the Browns and the wild card, Jameis Winston. If history has taught us anything, it should be exciting and it should be fun, but the Chiefs should come out on top. I think everybody here is expecting them to do that and take one step closer to getting that 1 seed. Can't thank everybody enough for checking in and watching. Had a bunch of people there in the chat. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I don't even want to start naming names, but just know we appreciate it, and we look forward to doing this every week, and it's a lot of fun, and we don't take it for granted, and it's humbling that people would sit there and watch us talk about football and join in the conversation. Love you guys. Can't thank you enough for watching. Chiefs play this weekend. We're getting down to the final, right, the throes of the season, right? We're getting down to the real season, right, for the Chiefs. That's what they call it.
Right.
Their real season, their regular season starts in January. It's right around the corner. Thanks again, everybody who watched. We'll be back next week to talk about it. Until then, let's go Chiefs.
All right, let's go Chiefs.
We'll be right back.